In the heart of Milwaukee, inside a modest apartment building, a horrific secret festered for years. The smell of rot, the whispers of neighbors, and the quiet existence of a man who appeared ordinary until the freezer was opened. This is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal, a man whose name has become synonymous with unimaginable depravity. But behind the grisly headlines lies a deeper question. What creates a monster like Dahmer? Between 1978 and 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer murdered 17 young men. His crimes weren't just about killing, they were about possession. He lured victims with charm, promises of money, or companionship. Once inside his home, he drugged them, strangled them, and committed acts that blurred the line between necrophilia and cannibalism. He preserved body parts. Skulls lined his shelves. A human heart was found in his refrigerator. And in his infamous blue drum, the decomposing remains of multiple victims. These weren't random killings. They followed a pattern, one built around control, dominance, and complete objectification. Jeffrey Dahmer's descent didn't begin with murder. It began with isolation. Born in 1960 in Bath, Ohio, Dahmer's early years were marked by emotional neglect. His mother struggled with mental illness, his father was emotionally distant, and young Jeffrey was left adrift, a loner fascinated with dead animals and dissection. By adolescence, Dahmer began fantasizing, not just about men, but about immobilizing them, keeping them forever. His first murder, at 18, was impulsive, but every murder after that, calculated.
Frequenting the gay bars, and then one time I brought this young man back to the hotel room, the Ambassador Hotel. Was just planning on drugging him and spending the night with him. I had no intention of hurting him. When I woke up in the morning, he had a broken rib here. Was heavily bruised. Apparently I had beaten him to death with my fists.
And you have no memory of it?
I have no memory of it. But that's what started the whole spree.
Jeffrey Dahmer was not psychotic. He knew what he was doing. Experts diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder, characterized by unstable relationships and identity disturbances. Necrophilic disorder, an obsession with corpses, where he found comfort and control in unresisting bodies. Paraphilic disorders, deviant sexual fixations, including domination, dismemberment, and eventually cannibalism. But perhaps most chilling? Dahmer wanted connection. He didn't kill out of hatred. He killed to keep his victims. He once told police, "I wanted to create a zombie, someone who wouldn't leave me."
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. And as my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons, and eventually I did turn to cannibalism.
Dahmer primarily targeted young men of color, often gay, often vulnerable. Many were runaways or immigrants. Their disappearances weren't investigated thoroughly. In 1991, a 14-year-old boy, Konorak Synthesomphone, escaped Dahmer's apartment. But when police arrived, Dahmer calmly explained it was a lover's quarrel. The officers let him take the boy back, to his death. Dahmer exploited societal prejudice and police negligence. His victims were overlooked until it was far too late. Dahmer's reign ended in July 1991, when one would-be victim, Tracy Edwards, managed to escape. Running through the streets in handcuffs, he led police to apartment 213. Inside, photos of dismembered bodies, severed heads, human remains.
It ended when this man, Tracy Edwards, brought the police to the infamous apartment. Like the others, he had gone there with the promise of money.
He was listening to my heart, because at a point he told me he was going to eat my heart at that point. I hit him, and I ran.
Jeffrey Dahmer confessed to everything, coldly, clinically. He was charged with 17 murders and sentenced to 15 life terms. But justice would be short-lived.
Sleeping pill mixture already prepared. The person would drink it, fall asleep, and that's when they would be strangled.
In 1994, while serving time in Columbia Correctional Institution, Dahmer was beaten to death by another inmate. Some saw it as karma, others as an escape from a fate he never truly regretted. Dahmer once said, "I should have gone to the electric chair. I deserve death."
That's what I deserve. I deserve death.
To the FBI's behavioral science unit, Dahmer was a rare breed, not driven by anger or sadism alone, but by a pathological fear of abandonment. His profile was unique. Organized killer, meticulous, intelligent, controlled. Sexual sadist, but one who preferred unconscious or lifeless bodies. Necrophilic cannibal, seeking absolute possession. His cooperation with law enforcement provided insight into a psychological abyss, how loneliness, rejection, and paraphilic fantasy can brew into real-world horror. Jeffrey Dahmer's story isn't just one of violence, it's one of silence, of warning signs ignored, of lives lost, because the system failed. But through the darkness of this corridor, we must not look away, because understanding the why is the first step toward making sure it never happens again. This has been Dark Corridor. Don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the shadows of the human mind.
This has never been a case of trying to get free. I didn't ever want freedom. Frankly, I wanted death for myself. This was a case to tell the world that I did what I did not for reasons of hate. I hated no one. I knew I was sick or evil or both. Now I believe I was sick. The doctors have told me about my sickness, and now I have some peace. I know how much harm I have caused. I tried to do the best I could after the arrest to make amends, but no matter what I did, I could not undo the terrible harm I have caused. My attempt to help identify the remains was the best that I could do, and that was hardly anything. I feel so bad for what I did to those poor families, and I understand their rightful hate. I know I will be in prison for the rest of my life. I know that I will have to turn to God to help me get through each day. I should have stayed with God. I tried and failed and created a Holocaust. Thank God there will be no more harm that I can do. I believe that only the Lord Jesus Christ can save me from my sins.